The sun dipped beneath the horizon, casting an amber glow over the bustling city of Qamar. It was a place of thriving markets where merchants called out their wares and the scent of spices filled the air. Among them was Ameer ibn Khalid, a man whose reputation as an honest merchant had earned him both wealth and respect. His shop, nestled between two grand structures, was a symbol of his success, one that took years of diligence and integrity to build. On this particular evening, Ameer sat on a woven mat outside his home, sipping warm tea as his children played nearby. His wife, Safiya, prepared dinner, humming a tune that had become a comfort in their home. Life was good, and Ameer often reminded himself to be grateful. Allah has blessed me beyond measure, he murmured, watching his youngest son chase after his sister. But fate has a way of testing even the strongest of hearts. That night, as the city slept, an inferno erupted in the marketplace. Flames danced wildly, consuming everything in their path. Ameer woke to the deafening shouts of neighbors and the acrid scent of smoke filling the air. Rushing outside, his heart pounded in horror as he saw the market engulfed in flames, including his shop. "No! Ya Allah, my livelihood!" he cried, pushing through the crowd, but the fire was relentless. By dawn, nothing remained but ashes. Ameer stood motionless, his knees weak. Everything he had built was gone. Indeed, we belong to Allah, and to Him we shall return. The verse slipped from his lips, but his heart trembled. Was this truly a test from Allah? How would he provide for his family now? As neighbors consoled him, he struggled to suppress the tears threatening to spill. The road ahead was uncertain, and for the first time in years, fear took root in his heart. But this was only the beginning. Ameer wandered through the ruins of his shop, his fingers tracing the blackened remnants of what was once his livelihood. The smell of charred wood clung to the air, a painful reminder of how quickly his world had changed. He clenched his fists, feeling the sting of helplessness. His mind echoed with questions. Why me? What did I do to deserve this? But deep inside, he knew that patience was the only answer. As he walked home, he recalled the words of the Prophet, peace be upon him. The real patience is at the first stroke of a calamity. That evening, Ameer sat in silence as his family ate their meager meal. Safiya placed a comforting hand on his, her eyes filled with quiet strength. Safiya, Allah is with the patient. Quran 2:153. Yet, doubt gnawed at his heart. The children's laughter had faded, replaced by the weight of uncertainty. He had always provided for them. How could he now? That night, as the city slept, Ameer remained awake, whispering desperate du'as into the darkness, praying for guidance. The following morning, Ameer sought counsel from Sheikh Idris, a respected scholar known for his wisdom. The old man listened patiently as Ameer poured out his grief, his voice laced with frustration and sorrow. When he finished, the Sheikh smiled gently. Sheikh Idris, Ameer, do you not remember the story of Prophet Ayyub alayhi wasalam? He lost everything, his wealth, health, and even his children, but he remained patient, and Allah rewarded him abundantly. The Sheikh's words settled deep within Ameer's heart. Ameer, but how do I endure such hardship? Ameer asked, his voice heavy. Sheikh Idris placed a hand on his shoulder and recited, Sheikh Idris, and be patient, for indeed Allah does not allow the reward of the righteous to be lost. Quran 11:115. Ameer inhaled deeply, understanding that true patience meant surrendering to Allah's will. With renewed faith, he resolved to move forward, even if the path ahead was unclear. With no shop and no savings, Ameer made the difficult decision to leave Qamar in search of work. He kissed his children goodbye, his heart aching at their tearful faces, and promised Safiya he would return soon. The road was long and uncertain, but he walked with faith, recalling the trials of the prophets before him. Ameer, if they endured, so shall I. He whispered to himself, drawing strength from their stories. Days turned into weeks as he traveled from village to village seeking employment. He faced rejection after rejection, each one testing his resolve. But whenever despair threatened to overtake him, he remembered Prophet Musa alayhi wasalam, who wandered the desert for years before Allah's mercy granted him relief. Ameer, my Lord is with me, he reminded himself. tightening his grip on his tattered bag as he stepped into yet another town, hopeful that his patience would soon bear fruit. Days passed, and Ameer's search for work remained fruitless. His small pouch of dates had long been emptied, and hunger gnawed at his stomach. He walked through the market, watching merchants sell food he could no longer afford. His throat burned with thirst, but he reminded himself of the Prophet's words, "Whoever remains patient, Allah will bestow patience upon him." He clenched his fists and turned away, refusing to let desperation cloud his faith. As he rested under a shaded tree, an elderly man approached and offered him bread. Tears welled in Ameer's eyes as he accepted the kindness. "Allah tests us all, my son, but remember, after hardship comes ease." Ameer nodded, swallowing both his hunger and his doubts. That night, he prostrated longer than usual, seeking Allah's guidance as his test of patience continued. The next morning, Ameer encountered a young orphan boy sitting alone near the village well. The child's clothes were tattered, his face weary with hunger. Ameer hesitated, his own stomach still aching, but then recalled the Prophet's words, "The one who cares for an orphan will be with me in paradise like this." And he held up 2 fingers. Without a second thought, Ameer gave the boy half of his bread. The boy's eyes widened with gratitude. "May Allah bless you, sir," he whispered. Ameer smiled, feeling an unfamiliar warmth in his heart. Though he had little, he had given, and in that moment he realized patience was not just about enduring hardship, but also about keeping faith and kindness alive despite it. Just when Ameer began to feel hopeful, another calamity struck. A dishonest merchant tricked him, promising him work but leaving him with nothing. Ameer clenched his fists, anger rising within him. "Why does this keep happening?" he muttered. His heart wavered, his patience tested to its limits. Was this truly Allah's plan? Had he not endured enough? That night, as he lay beneath the stars, his thoughts dark and restless, he remembered Prophet Yaqub, who lost his beloved son, yet still said, "So patience is most fitting." Ameer exhaled deeply. If Yaqub could remain steadfast after years of sorrow, who was he to lose hope so soon? He whispered a quiet astaghfirullah, renewing his trust in Allah. Determined to overcome his despair, Ameer spent his nights in deep prayer. He recited the dua of Prophet Yunus, "There is no deity except you. Exalted are you. Indeed, I have been of the wrongdoers." He repeated it until sleep overtook him, his heart lighter with each utterance. The next morning, an unexpected opportunity arose. A kind shopkeeper offered him temporary work loading supplies. It was small, humble labor, but Ameer accepted it gratefully. Even the smallest risk is a mercy from Allah, he reminded himself. Slowly he began to see that patience was not just about enduring suffering, but about trusting that Allah's plan was unfolding in ways he could not yet see. As days passed, Ameer found comfort in his small job. Though the work was strenuous and his earnings meager, he no longer felt the crushing weight of despair. One evening, as he stacked crates, the shopkeeper observed his diligence and said, "Your patience is admirable. Would you like to manage my store while I travel?" Ameer's eyes widened in disbelief. This was the first sign of relief after his long suffering. That night he reflected on Allah's wisdom. He had lost everything, yet patience had opened a new door for him. He recalled the verse, "Indeed, with hardship comes ease." Perhaps this was the ease Allah had promised. His heart filled with gratitude as he bowed in sujud, thanking Allah for this unexpected blessing. Ameer worked diligently, earning the trust of the shopkeeper and the respect of the villagers. Soon his wages were enough to send money home to Sophia and the children. One day, a wealthy merchant approached him with an offer, double his salary if he agreed to handle dishonest dealings. Ameer hesitated. The thought of securing a better future for his family tempted him. But then he remembered the story of Prophet Yusuf, who refused sin despite hardship, saying, "I seek refuge in Allah." Ameer clenched his fists. If patience meant holding on to his morals, then he would not compromise. "Allah will provide in His own time," he whispered, turning down the offer. Though the decision was difficult, his heart remained firm in faith. One evening, as Ameer sat in the mosque after Maghrib prayer, an elderly man approached him. "I have been watching you, young man. Your patience reminds me of the Prophet's stories. Would you like to work for me permanently?" The man was a respected caravan leader, offering Ameer a stable future. Ameer's heart swelled with emotion. This was Allah's mercy unfolding before his eyes. Tears streamed down his face as he prostrated in gratitude. He had doubted, he had suffered, but he had remained patient. Now relief had come in a way he never expected. He recalled the Prophet's words, "Know that victory comes with patience, relief with affliction, and ease with hardship." Ameer now understood. True patience was trusting in Allah's plan, no matter how long it took. With his new job, Ameer was finally able to return home. As he approached Kamar, his heart pounded with anticipation. Would his family still be waiting for him? Had his children forgotten him? But the moment he stepped into his home, his children ran into his arms and Safiya's eyes filled with tears. "We never lost hope," she whispered. Ameer sat with his family, sharing stories of his trials and the patience that had carried him through. He saw the wisdom behind everything he had endured. If he had not been tested, he would not have learned the true meaning of Sabr. That night, as he looked at his sleeping children, he made a silent promise. "I will always trust in Allah, no matter what trials come my way." Years passed, and Ameer's business flourished beyond what he had ever imagined. He used his wealth to help the poor, remembering the hardships he once faced. Whenever he encountered someone in distress, he would remind them, "Be patient, for Allah never allows the patient to be lost." One day, as he sat with his grandchildren, he recounted his story, teaching them the lessons of patience. "Do you know why Allah tests us? Because He wants us to grow, to become better, and to draw closer to Him." The children listened, wide-eyed, as he smiled. Never lose hope, for after every hardship, Allah sends ease. Ameer spent his later years teaching patience to others, just as he had learned. He built a school for orphans, ensuring that no child would suffer hunger as he once did. Every day he reminded his students, "And be patient, for indeed, Allah does not waste the reward of the good doers." His journey had been long, filled with trials and tests, but it had led him to a life of purpose. On his final day, as he lay surrounded by his loved ones, he smiled, whispering his last words, "Alhamdulillah, for everything." And with that he returned to his Creator, a man who had truly walked the road to Sabr.